It's Friday night, and the mood is right. We're gonna have some fun, show you how it's done, TGIF.
Welcome back, fellow TGIF fanatics. Today, we're taking another deep dive into the forgotten side of ABC's Friday night lineup. In our first video, we covered gems like Aliens in the Family and Odd Man Out, sitcoms that were so awkward you'd think ABC was just rolling dice in the writer's room to choose ideas. And after reading the comments, you all had plenty more suggestions of shows that we forgot, or maybe just repressed for our own sanity. So today, we're going to take your advice and dig even deeper into the glittery graveyard of Friday night flops. We'll leave a link to the first video in the comments below, but if you missed it, here's a quick recap of the most glorious evening of television in the 90s. TGIF was ABC's Friday night programming block. And yes, it really did stand for Thank Goodness It's Funny, but I personally believe the Thank God It's Friday was heavily implied. I got a few things wrong in the last video, but that was not one of them, and you can verify that yourself if you so please. TGIF was appointment television at its finest. Every week, kids, teens, and families gathered around the TV to watch hits like Sabrina the Teenage Witch, Step by Step, and Family Matters. Missing an episode back then felt more devastating than waiting those 10 minutes for AOL to connect, only to hear "You've got mail" from the wrong account. But for every classic that ABC cranked out, there were plenty of shows that missed the mark. Today, we're going to go back in time to look at those forgotten flops. And here's a quick disclaimer. If one of these happens to be your all-time favorite, don't take offense when we call it a flop. We're only referring to its short-lived run on TGIF compared to the long-standing legends like Family Matters or Step by Step. Sometimes even good shows couldn't quite stick the landing on the Friday night slot. And before we dive in, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Feel free to let us know in the comments if you remember any of these short-lived shows. It's been a blast for me reliving the TGIF glory days with y'all. Some of your comments have sparked genuinely fond memories from that special time. So with that, let's jump in. Number 8, Boy Meets World. We're going to start our list off with Boy Meets World. I'm kidding. I'm only kidding. Don't worry. I loved Boy Meets World. Now let's start with the list for real. Number 8, Going Places.
We should have left sooner.
Charlie, we drove from Chicago. Do you think 10 minutes would make a difference?
Depends on how late we are. How you doing with that math?
Great. I think we're just 2 blocks from Tony Danza's house.
Our actual journey begins in 1990 with the show titled Going Places, a sitcom about 4 young Hollywood writers working on a hidden camera prank show called Here's Looking at You. On paper, it had everything TGIF success stories were made of. The cast included Alan Ruck as Charlie Davis, Cameron Fry from Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Alongside him were Jerry Levine from Teen Wolf, Hallie Todd, who would later play Lizzie McGuire's mom, and Heather Locklear, whom was already a soap superstar thanks to Dynasty and soon to become an icon on Melrose Place. With that much talent and the Miller-Boyett pedigree, the powerhouse behind Full House and Family Matters, you'd think that this was a slam dunk. Instead, the show barely made it through 1 season. Only 19 episodes aired before ABC pulled it in March of 1991. So what was the problem? That would be the show's tone. TGIF was built on family-friendly comfort food, and Going Places felt like it kind of belonged on a different menu. A sitcom about 20-something writers pulling hidden camera pranks was too adult for kids, but also too juvenile for adults. Viewers couldn't even tell who the show was made for. And when a show's audience is no one, it's going nowhere fast. Number 7, Baby Talk.
What do you mean, switch babies?
There was another baby born at the same time as Mickey. I might have mixed them up.
What?
You can't imagine what I'm going through.
Oh, no, don't cry, Clarice. I still like you. I may have to sue you for every penny you got, but I still like you.
Well, if Going Places was a misfire, then Baby Talk was a full-blown disaster. Inspired by the hit movie Look Who's Talking, the sitcom featured a baby whose thoughts were voiced by Tony Danza. On paper, it looked like family-friendly gold. In practice, it instead became one of TGIF's biggest embarrassments. Season 1 starred Julia Duffy of Newhart as single mom Maggie Campbell, with a young George Clooney playing Joe, her building contractor and love interest. Yes, that George Clooney, before ER and Hollywood stardom. The critical reception was brutal. Reviews were so negative that Duffy asked to be released from her contract after just one season, later rebounding by joining Designing Women to replace Delta Burke. Clooney bailed too, later calling Baby Talk, quote, the worst thing I ever did. Considering his career eventually spanned ER, Ocean's 11, and multiple Oscar awards, that's kind of saying something. ABC somehow renewed the show, but with an almost entirely new cast. Mary Page Keller stepped in as Maggie, while Scott Baio joined as her neighbor/love interest, James Halbrook. The overhaul was supposed to save the series, but instead it only highlighted how shaky the premise already was. By the end of its second season in May of 1992, Baby Talk was canceled, cementing its legacy as one of the strangest miscalculations in TGIF history. If nothing else, it gave Clooney the push to start picking better roles. And that turned out pretty well for him. Number 6, Billy.
David, I want you to look me in the eye and tell me you're not smoking.
Mom, I'm not smoking.
He's smoking.
Are you calling my son a liar?
Somebody has to.
Scottish comedian Billy Connolly tried to bring his quick wit and irreverent humor to American audiences with a show titled Billy, playing a Scottish teacher, Billy McGregor, who relocates from Scotland to Berkeley, California, to live with a widowed single mom and her 2 children. The supporting cast included Marie Marshall as the mom and Clara Bryant as one of her children. Here's the twist about this show that most people don't remember. Billy was actually a spin-off of a show titled Head of the Class. Connolly first appeared as Billy McGregor in that series' final season, where his over-the-top teaching style shook up a group of gifted students. When Head of the Class ended, ABC decided to build a whole new sitcom around his character, one of the very few TGIF shows to come directly out of another sitcom. And there was a problem. Connolly's edgy and irreverent Scottish humor, while beloved in the UK, just didn't translate well into TGIF's family-friendly Friday night block. His sharp comedic style clashed with the wholesome vibe of shows like Full House or Family Matters. This resulted in the show feeling like oil and water together. The show would go on to last only 13 episodes, with ABC pulling the plug in 1992. The cultural disconnect was pretty obvious, but the cancellation didn't slow Connolly down. He went on to thrive in stand-up and even some animated voice work in Disney/Pixar's Brave. Looking back, Billy is a fascinating what if, a spin-off with star power and a bold lead actor that just never quite found the right audience. Number 5, Where I Live.
What you doing? What you doing? Why you gotta pick me up? You're done. You think I got a problem getting in it? You? Not you. You are the Mac. Man. The Mac. You hear that? I'm the Mac. I'm the real Mac Daddy. What are you, stupid? I'm the Mac. I don't spend no $3.49 on no dinner. I don't have to. That's what you saying. I got
Where I Live followed Doug St. Martin, a Trinidadian American teenager in Brooklyn, played by Dougie Doug. This show gave TGIF something that it rarely got to show: a sharp but authentic look at the life in an urban community through the eyes of a West Trinidadian family. Critics loved it. The series was praised for its wit, its warmth, and honest storytelling. It dealt with issues like friendship, family, and culture with a freshness that stood out in TGIF's sea of suburban and mostly Caucasian sitcoms. And while the critics were impressed, audiences just weren't tuning in. Where I Live lasted only 15 episodes. airing in spring of 1993 before being pulled from the lineup. The biggest problem wasn't the quality, it was the placement. Sandwiched between the broad laughs of Family Matters and Step by Step, viewers got whiplash jumping from Urkel's wacky inventions to Doug St. Martin navigating teenage struggles in Harlem. For Friday night family viewing, it just didn't fit. Still, Where I Live left behind a legacy. It launched Dougie Doug into films like Cool Runnings later that year, and it showed that network TV could, at least briefly, experiment with telling different kinds of American stories, even if the TGIF audience wasn't quite ready for it. Number 4. Muppets Tonight.
Hey, what's up? Yeah, thank you. I'm Clifford, your homie made of foamy. Welcome to Muppets Tonight, the show that's gonna change the face of television and make it look a little something like this.
Perhaps the most surprising flop in TGIF history was Muppets Tonight, a revival of The Muppet Show that brought Kermit, Miss Piggy, and the gang back to primetime. This time around, the host's chair went to Clifford, a laid-back purple Muppet with dreadlocks who had first appeared on The Jim Henson Hour. The series stuck with the variety format. Celebrity guests, sketches, musical numbers, with plenty of big names like Billy Crystal, John Goodman, Sandra Bullock, Martin Short, Whoopi Goldberg, and even Prince. Now, calling Muppets Tonight a total flop isn't really fair. It ran for 2 seasons across both ABC and the Disney Channel simultaneously, and it even won an Emmy Award for Outstanding Performer in a Children's Series. However, for a Muppets production airing in the high-profile TGIF block, the ratings just weren't there. They were underwhelming. The audience that had grown up with the Muppets in the 1970s had aged out, while the 90s kids growing up didn't quite connect with the variety show style, no matter how many A-list cameos the producers stacked into the lineup. The Muppets wouldn't really find their footing again until the 2011 Jason Segel film reboot, which would introduce them to a new audience and lean harder into self-aware comedy. But Muppets Tonight remains an interesting experiment. A reminder that even legends of entertainment like Kermit the Frog can flop when the cultural momentum isn't quite right. Number 3. On Our Own.
How sad.
Well, what's sad is that this case took so long to come to our attention.
Maybe it just fell through the cracks.
I don't allow cracks. When people talk about Gordon Ormsby, they say, now there goes a man without cracks.
Now, if there's one show that proved TGIF wasn't afraid to experiment, it was On Our Own. Premiering in 1994, the series followed the Jericho family, a group of 6 orphaned siblings in St. Louis trying to stay together after the death of their parents. To keep social services from splitting them up, the oldest brother, Josh Jericho, who was played by comedian Ralph Lewis Harris, disguises himself as Aunt Jelcinda, a no-nonsense matriarch who pretends to be the kid's guardian. Yeah, you heard that right. TGIF went full Mrs. Doubtfire. Except instead of Robin Williams in a Hollywood blockbuster, this was just Harris in a sitcom wig every Friday night. On Our Own had some serious charm also. Produced by Miller Boyett, the cast had some real breakout potential. The Jericho kids were played by the Smollett siblings, including a young Journey Smollett who'd go on to star in Friday Night Lights, Underground, and Lovecraft Country. Watching the Smollets play off of one another gave the show an authentic family dynamic that no amount of studio casting could fake. However, despite the unique premise and very talented cast, On Our Own struggled. The disguises and hijinks were a bit too over the top for adults, and the orphan storyline made the show heavier than the lighthearted family fare TGIF viewers were expecting. Tonally, this show was caught in no man's land. Too broad to be a heartfelt drama, but too serious to be pure comedy. On Our Own only lasted 1 season, 20 episodes, before ABC pulled the plug in spring of '95. It was a noble experiment, blending heart, comedy, and a dash of cross-dressing chaos, but ultimately, it just didn't click with the TGIF audience. Still, it's very much worth remembering as the show gave the Smollett siblings their first big spotlight, even if most viewers only remember it as that Mrs. Doubtfire show ABC tried for a year. Number 2. Camp Wilder.
Help me out here. What rhymes with N? Men? Friends? Friends. Perfect. What's this for? My stupid homework. I have to write a poem for school. Oh, let's hear it.
No, you don't want to hear it.
No, let's. Mom and Dad are gone. They met untimely ends. I'm stuck in this house, my stupid brother, and his stupid friends.
One of TGIF's boldest experiments was Camp Wilder, which premiered in September of 1992. Created by Matthew Carlson, this story centered on Ricky Wilder, Mary Page Keller, a 28-year-old nurse and single woman who moves back into her childhood home after her parents died. Not just to raise her 6-year-old daughter Sophie, played by Tina Majorino, but also to become guardian of her teenage siblings Brody, by Jerry O'Connell, and Melissa, by Megan Haldeman. Ricky's house, of course, then becomes a casual haven for neighborhood teens, a judgment-free zone for friends to hang out and just be themselves. The cast also had early names that you would later recognize as famous names. Jay Moore played Dorfman, Brody's eccentric best friend, often stealing scenes with his awkward charm. Hilary Swank had a recurring role as Danielle, one of Melissa's friends. Margaret Langrick played Beth, another friend. And fun fact, Jared Leto even appeared in an episode as Dexter, a motorcycle-riding bad boy who caught Danielle's attention. With a cast that strong, you might think that Camp Wilder would land a niche. Add in the Miller Boyett / ABC TGIF momentum and it seemed positioned to succeed, but it never quite found its footing. Camp Wilder aired during the TGIF lineup, after Step by Step, but the tone felt softer, quieter, more introspective than TGIF's usual upbeat family sitcoms. It would go on to last 19 episodes on air, though 20 episodes were produced, one going unaired in the US. Despite there being pockets of praise for its warmth and its charm, it just didn't generate the viewership that ABC needed and was canceled by February of 1993. Camp Wilder was a reminder that even with a strong cast and a heartfelt concept, TGIF's formula wasn't very forgiving. This was quiet family storytelling in a block that was built for broad, punchy comedy. And that mismatch turned out to be fatal. And number 1 on our list is Getting By.
You here already? Oh, yeah. I wanted to make sure the movers unpacked everything right.
You have movers?
Well, yeah, don't you?
I got 2 sons. We just threw everything in the truck and drove across town.
Ooh, Dolores, aren't you afraid things will get broken?
I got 2 sons. Everything's already broken.
If TGIF was the land of feel-good suburban comedies, then Getting By tried to mix things up with a bit more edge and social commentary. Premiering in March of '93, this show starred Cindy Williams of Laverne and Shirley fame as Kathy, a single mom that was raising 2 boys, and Thelma Hopkins, already beloved as Aunt Rachel from Family Matters, as Dolores, her best friend raising 2 girls. When money got tight, the 2 families moved in together under one roof in suburban Chicago. The setup had promise. A modern-day Odd Couple clone, but with parenting and blended family dynamics. The show leaned into race and class differences more directly than most TGIF shows did, trying to tackle real issues while still keeping things lighthearted enough for Friday nights. And despite the strong cast, again, the tone felt uneven. One week you would get a really heartfelt lesson about prejudice or single motherhood. And the next week you'd have a goofy subplot about kids getting into sitcom-level trouble. The audiences who were tuning in from broad laughs like Step by Step or the wholesome chaos of Family Matters weren't quite sure what to make of this show. Still, Getting By holds a quirky place in TGIF history. It was the first TGIF show ever to switch networks mid-run. ABC canceled it after just 1 season, but NBC picked it up for a 2nd season. That kind of move was basically unheard of at the time. And unfortunately, the new home didn't really help much. Ratings stayed low, and the show ended in 1994 after only 31 episodes. For Cindy Williams, the series was a reminder of just how hard it was to find a post-Laverne and Shirley hit. For Thelma Hopkins, it was just another stepping stone in a career that kept circling TGIF's orbit. And for all the viewers that tuned in, Getting By was an experiment in mixing sitcom warmth with topical issues that never quite clicked in the sugar-sweet world of Friday night family TV. In the end, the title said it all. This really just was a show that was getting by. So there you have it, Retro TV fans, 8 more forgotten flops from ABC's TGIF lineup. Shows that turned "thank goodness it's funny" into "thank God it's finished." Some of them were ambitious, some were just really bizarre, and a few probably should have never made it past the pitch meeting. But that's what made TGIF such a wild ride. For every Boy Meets World or Family Matters, there were experiments that fizzled out almost as soon as they hit the air. Thank you very much to everyone who left comments on the first video. You reminded us of shows that we haven't thought about in decades, and that's what makes making this content so fun. You remember any of these shows? You've gotta if you clicked this video, right? Were you crushed when these were canceled? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on our next nostalgic deep dive. While TGIF may be long gone these days, as long as we're still talking about it and remembering it together, those Friday nights never die.